Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Hare Krishna, everybody. We're going to be discussing the 9th chapter from Krishna book today. So please bless me together with the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara, that I may say something that will be of benefit to all of us. Thank you, Prabhu. And also pleasing to the ear, so that we can advance in our quest to perform devotional service, and in that way we can ultimately achieve the goal that we want, which is eternal joy and bliss in the spiritual world. So let me start with a few prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrinda Vineshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The chapter 9 is entitled Mother Yashoda binds Krishna. The operative word here is bind. So, how can we bind Krishna? Do we want to bind Krishna as well? And if we do want to bind him, then how is it possible to bind him, and for what reason would we want to bind him? We would want to bind him because we want his favor, we want his mercy, We want his blessing so that we can advance in our spiritual endeavors and in that way attain the spiritual world where there's eternal joy and bliss, no more suffering. I think everybody wants that. So let us see how he can be bound through the pastime of Mother Yashoda and this butter episode. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the story, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just take excerpts from it and try and discuss something on that. How it applies to us for our upliftment. So, Mother Yashoda decides to churn butter because the maidservant is busy with some other work. So she thinks, well, let me go and do some work in the churning room, and she gets busy with churning butter. While she is doing that, she is thinking about Krishna's pastimes, all the experiences that she's had with him, the loving exchanges that she always experiences with him. And as she thinks about him, she smiles. And while she's smiling, as she's churning, the bangles on her hands are clanging against one another, just like the kartals, and the earrings on her ears are dancing. So the picture that is portrayed is that there's a kirtan going on. Although Mother Yashoda is on her own, she is busy churning the butter, but there's kirtan going on. What is the lesson that we learn from that? That whatever activity we are taking part in, whether we are driving, whether we are walking, whether we are working, whether we are cooking, whatever we might be doing, we should always be thinking about Krishna and dedicating that activity to Krishna. How? For example, if you're cooking, then you can have a picture of Krishna that you're looking at, or you can be chanting while you're peeling the potatoes, or listening to some kirtan, or listening to some lecture like that. And in that way you are fully engaged, you're engaging your senses and your consciousness in thinking of Krishna, and in that way your mind is becoming purified in that you're only thinking of thoughts in the mode of goodness. And that is the mode that we want to operate from, and from there we want to go on to pure goodness. Of course, that is not accessible immediately, but we can at least try to be in the mode of goodness. So, while she is busy, Krishna is sleeping in the other room, and he gets up and he comes to Mother Yashoda and he wants milk. In the meantime, while Mother Yashoda is busy churning, her thoughts are on Krishna, and she's exuberating love. And that is manifesting in the form of milk. And she's thinking about how she will let Krishna drink the milk when he comes. And he does exactly that. When he comes there, he demands that he's hungry, he wants to drink milk. So Mother Yashoda stops the churning, she sits him down and she feeds him. So he's quite content, he's satisfied, he has proved his point that all else must stop. When I come, I'm the most important and you attend to me. Don't worry about anything else. But that feeling is short-lived, because on the stove there's a pot of milk that's put there to boil to make some nice preparations for Krishna, yogurt, butter, all of those things. Because complaints have come in from the gopis that your son is coming to our houses and he's stealing our butter, he's stealing our yogurt, and all that kind of complaint is going on, coming to Mother Yashoda. And she thinks, Nanda Maharaj has got the best cows here in Nandagram, and he has 900,000 of them. Right? And therefore, we have the best milk. So, Krishna has everything that he wants, that you could possibly want at home. So, why is he going out to other people's houses and stealing in that way? Stealing, we have to understand this is not ordinary stealing, it's transcendental stealing, because when we understand further, it's not just that he is stealing because he wants to, he is satisfying the desire of the gopis. The gopis are complaining, that's on the surface, but their inner thoughts are, let's try and make a nice sweet preparation so that Krishna will come, he will taste it and he will come to our house. That is what their meditation is. But they pretend to be complaining, yes, that Krishna came and he stole our butter and all of that to Mother Yashoda. So Mother Yashoda is thinking that if I make a better preparation than the gopis can make, then there will be no need for him to go and steal the butter or steal the yogurt like that. So that is why Krishna steals butter. Then, while that is happening, on the stove we spoke about the pot of milk, and that milk boils over. So Mother Yashoda is holding Krishna, she's feeding him, and then she notices that the pot is going to boil over. So she rushes to the pot to go and see to that and puts Krishna down. Krishna is still not satisfied, he's still drinking, and all of a sudden she puts him down and she's gone to attend to the pot. That doesn't go too well with Krishna, it doesn't go down too well, he gets angry. And he reacts. So Mother Yashoda goes to the pot, she does what she has to, controls the flame and takes the pot off the flame so that it stops boiling. And when she comes back, she sees that there's butter and milk strewn all over the floor. What has happened? Krishna, you know the story very well, he got angry, and the image is given that he bites his lips, his red lips, with his white teeth. So why does he bite like that? He's angry and he shows his anger in that way. There's a lesson for us in that. The sages say that red lips represent anger and the white teeth is the mode of goodness, and whenever we feel angry, we should control that anger in the mode of goodness and attain peace in that way. So, this is the lesson we're learning from that. But Krishna goes a bit further. He takes a stone and he breaks the pot. My mother left me, I'm the most important person here, I need their attention, and she went to see to the milk. And she left me here. So that's not acceptable according to him. So he breaks the pot. And he goes into the next room. He sits on the upturned grinding mortar, and he's feeding the monkeys. The monkeys are enjoying, but soon they are full, they have had enough, and then they don't want to take any more of the butter. Then he says, this butter is so bitter that even the monkeys don't want to eat. And then he throws it all on the floor. So when Mother Yashoda comes back, she sees all of these the broken pot, the scattered yogurt and the butter, and immediately she knows that there's nobody else here, it's only Krishna, so he has to be the culprit. This is his work. But he's nowhere to be seen. Then she realizes, yes, he has realized that he's made a mistake, that's why he has run away. So she goes and looks for him, and there she sees a footprint on the floor going in the direction of the next chamber, and she knows, well, that's where he is. And she goes there and she finds him. And she wants to punish him, so she takes a stick with her. Krishna is terrified. He runs. Because first of all, he doesn't see Mother Yashoda coming. He is facing his back towards her. He is sitting in that way, but the monkeys are facing the door. And when Mother Yashoda approaches, the monkeys start chattering and they start jumping around. So when he looks back, he sees, oh, Mother Yashoda is there with a stick. He gets frightened and he starts running. And Mother Yashoda chases him. She wants to catch him. She wants to punish him. So, remember, she is not as young as Krishna. She is, the story goes that she, a thin waist and heavy body, she can't move that fast. But still she is making every endeavor to try and catch Krishna. And as she is running, she is perspiring. The flowers are falling from her hair. Why are the flowers falling from her hair? They can see that this Mother Yashoda has so much of love for Krishna that she is making every effort, perspiring to try and catch Krishna. And we are on Mother Yashoda's head. So out of humility, they fall to her feet because so much of love, this should be respected and applauded by us being at her feet. So that is why the flowers fall. So in the spiritual world, the flowers, the milk, all of these things have personality, and we're learning lessons from them. So, we come to the point where the monkeys are chattering and Krishna is aware that she is coming, and then we come to some contradictions. How is it possible that the creator of all creations is afraid of Mother Yashoda? He is fear personified, and yet he is fearful. How can that be? He is the Lord of all lords. He is the source of all sources. He who is always satisfied. He is desiring milk. He who is always happy becomes angry. He who is the richest, he is the first-class thief. He who is time, he is the source of fear, yet he is running in fear. He is inconceivable, yet he is conceived by his mother, by Mother Yashoda. And she catches him. She eventually catches him, but not on her own accord, because of their endeavor. And Krishna notices that she is perspiring, she is tired. Her hair is dangling about her face. You can see that she is struggling to catch him. So then he agrees to be caught. The lesson for us there, we've heard this so many times. We have to endeavor in such a way that the Lord will notice and then He will give us the mercy. He will fulfill our desire. So Mother Yashoda is teaching us that don't give up. Keep on trying. Endeavor to the best of your ability and the Lord will reciprocate. So now that she's caught him, imagine the smallest of he is smaller than the smallest. He is heavier than the heaviest, larger than the largest, lighter than the lightest, and yet she catches him because he allows her to catch him. Now, she has thrown away the stick because she thinks that Krishna is so afraid, and if I hold the stick in my hand, I don't know what might happen. He might get sick, he might faint, anything can happen. So I can't let my son be so fearful. Better I throw the stick away. And that's what she did. But she still had to punish him in some way. So she thinks, well, let me bind him to that mortar. He was sitting on the mortar and feeding the monkeys. He was in cahoots with that mortar. So let me tie him to the mortar. Let's see if your mortar will save you now. Because you were making mischief, you were being mischievous with that mortar. Then she gets some rope. You all know the famous story about the rope. Because this is a place where cattle are kept, then there's always rope around, because the cows' legs have to be tied when they go for milking and all of that, and they have to be led also with the rope. So there's plenty of rope lying around. So she gets a piece of rope and she attempts to tie Krishna to the mortar. She binds him, but when she comes to the part of making the knot, it's just too short. She can't get the knot right. So she says, okay, this is too short. So she gets another piece of rope, joins it to that one, and tries again. And then again it's just too short. 2 fingers too short. And this carries on for some time. And then she asks the neighbors, the gopis, please bring some rope from your house. And they continue like that. But it just doesn't work. Until Krishna agrees. He sees that his mother again is endeavoring with so much of love, so much of determination, that he agrees, okay, you can bind me. And then she eventually manages to bind him. So Yashoda caught him. He allowed her to bind him because she was panting and the flowers were falling from her hair. Her sari was coming loose. Her hair was in disarray. So now he is bound. And then Mother Yashoda asked him, why did you go without my permission? You had promised me, I told you that you should not leave the house without my permission. I don't want you going to the neighbors' houses and creating mischief there. Then he says, no, but you said that if, he says like this, if I am going to do some good, there is no harm going to come to anybody and nobody is going to be disturbed. Those 3 conditions. No one is harmed, no one is disturbed, and I'm going to be doing some good. I'm going to do that. So then you said there's no need to take permission. That's why I didn't take permission. You told me. And then she says, oh, you know how to preach. What did you preach? She says, no, I went to tell them about Dwadasi. It's the day after Ekadasi, and I wanted to tell them how to break fast. Oh, you know how to break fast? He says, yes, my mother taught me very well. That's why I know. So he twists the whole thing around and makes it like it's not his fault at all. So then he goes on. Then Mother Yashoda wants to confirm this. So she asks the gopis, is it true that Krishna was preaching to you all? He says, yes, we didn't know how to break fast. He told us, now we know. Yes, he did come and he told us. We are very happy about that. So she couldn't chastise him in that way because he has a valid excuse now. You told me I don't have to get permission if I'm going to do something good, if I'm not going to harm anybody, if I'm not going to cause distress to anything or anybody. So that's what I did. And I was doing something good, so there was no need to take permission. So, so we come back to the point now. Why is Krishna being fearful? Because he is death personified. We fear death. We fear death because we will lose everything. We will lose our possessions, we will lose our relationships, we will lose our association. Death is something that fears Krishna, and yet Krishna is fearing the stick. Isn't that antithesis? how can he who is fear personified, fear actually fears him, and yet he's fearful of the stick? So what does this all mean? We came across all these controversies, these contradictions. We said he's the lightest, lighter than the lightest, heavier than the heaviest, all those things we spoke about. Yet, he allows himself to be caught. The understanding is that because he is unlimited, inconceivable, then no one can catch him, not even his mother. But she succeeds in catching him. She succeeds in binding him. Why? This is the crux of the whole story, the whole pastime. It's hinging on the fact that she has so much of love for Krishna. She was able to capture him just by pure love. That's a lesson for us. So whatever activity we are performing, it must also be imbued with love. Otherwise, it is impossible to catch Krishna, and more so to bind him. But if we want to bind him, if we want to get his favor, if we want his blessings, then we have to copy what Mother Yashoda did. We have to be determined, we have to endeavor, and there must be no relenting. We must continue. The example is there of Srila Prabhupada. From his youth to his adulthood to old age, he was always endeavoring. Even when he was supposed to retire, at the age of 70, he was still, he went to America and he established so many temples. So like that, this spiritual consciousness, the spiritual endeavor does not come to an end. It doesn't mean you have to be a certain age. You have to be at it all the time. Mother Yashoda's love is so intense and pure that Krishna forgets to be fearless. He is fearless, but he forgets about that because he is getting so much of love and he is bound by love. So, some people might say, like the yogis, for example, they are making so many sacrifices, they're meditating in so many different ways for long periods. They become senior devotees, they are knowledgeable devotees, they are wealthy devotees, all trying to get the love of Krishna. But all of this doesn't work. It doesn't work as well as pure love, that is bhakti. And even in the case of Sudama, he was so poor, right? Even that didn't work. It was by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord has to give his mercy. So none of these qualities will be able to attract the Lord other than pure love, and that is called bhakti. He forgets when you whatever devotional service you are performing, if it is performed in the way that he is being merciful, he accepts, he sees the endeavor, and because of that endeavor he becomes merciful, he extends his mercy, then in that way only can you capture him. When you can capture him in that way, then he is completely under your control and your desires will be fulfilled. But that endeavor has to be there. So this is what it's all about, the binding of Krishna by Mother Yashoda, showing us how we can bind Krishna. He satisfies the need of the whole creation, yet he gets hungry. He is always satisfied, yet he becomes unsatisfied. He is beyond anger, yet we see that he gets angry. He smashes the pot and he scatters the yogurt all over the place. He is fearless, yet he runs from Mother Yashoda in fear. All of that happens simply because of the pure love. And there's another point that emerges from this. One of the sages talk about this, that all these pastimes are directed towards the glory of Srimati Radharani. We're going to be celebrating Radha Astami next week, I think, and we are getting ready for that. So it's interesting to note that everything that Krishna does, all these leelas, involve Srimati Radharani. One example is, we can tie everything back to Srimati Radharani, but I'll just use the one example about Govardhan Hill. It is said that it wasn't Krishna who lifted Govardhan Hill, it was Srimati Radharani. But we saw in the picture that it's Krishna who's there with his left hand and his little finger, and he's holding up Govardhan Hill. So how is that? How can it be said now that it's Srimati Radharani who's holding up Govardhan Hill? Anyone wants to guess? Might have come across it somewhere. Simple. They say that Srimati Radharani is part of the left side of Krishna. So if he was lifting up Govardhan Hill with his left hand, that was his left side, so it was Srimati Radharani who was lifting up. So that's how all of the leelas can be tied up like that. There's another point that comes up, priority. We have to prioritize what we have to do, and Mother Yashoda describes this or demonstrates this. Because while she's feeding Krishna, the pot is overboiling there, and she has to decide, do I leave Krishna and go and attend to the pot, or do I let the pot boil over and keep Krishna happy? So she realizes that she has to put Krishna down, attend to the pot, and then she can come back and continue feeding Krishna. So, of course, Krishna gets angry, we know that. But there's an incident that happened with Srila Prabhupada and his servant. When he was in his later stages, when he was taking rest most of the time. So he told his servant, he gave two instructions. One, don't leave me alone. And number two, there must always be water in the jug. So one day, Srila Prabhupada was seemingly asleep, and the water was finished in the jug, and the servant is thinking, now, how shall I go and get the water? He said, I mustn't leave him, and he said that the jug must not be empty. Now, to fulfill those two conditions, I have to go out and bring water and fill the jug. There was nobody else around, so he was the only one there. So he thought, well, Prabhupada is sleeping, let me go and get the water quickly and come. So he goes to fetch the water. When he comes back, he finds Srila Prabhupada on the floor outside the bathroom. And he says, what happened, Srila Prabhupada? I told you, don't leave me alone and don't let the water get empty. Don't let the jug be empty. So the servant says, but Prabhupada, I had to go and get the water. How can the jug not be empty if I don't get the water? And he said, you must use intelligence. Did you use intelligence? Why don't you have two jugs? If you have two jugs, then you can use the one jug to fill the other jug when the water is getting low, so you don't have to leave me. And then when you have some time, or you can ask somebody else to go and fill the other jug again and bring it, but there's never going to be a point where there's no water in the jug. So that is the lesson that we have to learn, to prioritize. We have to carry out instructions, and we have to choose what is the most important thing that we have to attend to. Another example is given like that. If somebody like Swami or somebody walks in and you are busy with Aarti and you are offering the agarbatti, then and there's nobody else to receive that guest, that Swami, then what must you do? Then it is said that you can come back and do your Aarti. You stop the Aarti, you're going to receive the guest, and then you can come back and do the Aarti. So the point is that we cannot worship Krishna in isolation. It must be in the association of his, if you're worshipping Krishna, there should be cows there. his associates have to be there, the cowherd boys, the cowherd girls, like that. So we mustn't think that we can just worship Krishna. No, the Vaishnavas are very important as well. And we've heard this so often also about that you can't worship Krishna directly, you have to worship the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, then you can get to Krishna. So, we've got a few more minutes. So what does, let's get a little slogan out of this. You know that we have to do, when we're performing devotional service, we have to do it diligently and in a determined manner. But the important thing is to make the effort. So, I heard this from one of the, I think it was, I forget his name now, but he said that little done, God won. So that means even if you do a little bit, then that is going to count towards, the one is not to O-N-E, W-O-N, one. That means you will win the favor of the Lord, even with a little bit of effort, because that little bit would lead to more and more and more devotional service, and in that way, just like how Mother Yashoda succeeded in capturing Krishna and binding him, we will also succeed using an example if we make the endeavor. So, without the Vaishnavas, worship of the Lord is incomplete. His associates must be there as well. We must do our best at all times. And I explained to you how Srila Prabhupada, from his childhood to youth, to adulthood, and even in old age, he was always serving. He was always doing something or the other in spiritual activities. So the other lesson that we get from this is that Krishna was going to the neighbors to go and steal the butter and the yogurt and all of that. So that means he wanted to eat, right? And sometimes we like to, if you tell the children, okay, we're not going to eat at home today, we're going to go to a restaurant. So they get excited like that. So Krishna was excited to go and eat outside at the neighbors' houses and the gopis' houses and all of that. So what does that mean? Is that good for us? We should learn from Krishna that if we're going to do that, we're going to get into lots of trouble. And he, being fearless, had to fear the punishment that he was going to receive from Mother Yashoda. So there might be some punishment for us too. So let's be on the safe side. We don't eat out, we eat at home, because when we have food at home, it's either the spouse, the mother, the sister who's cooking, but they're cooking with love. The food outside may taste better, but it is merely cooked for profit, not with love. So that's the other thing that comes out of this, that we should try and avoid restaurants. Of course, sometimes you may have a bona fide restaurant with the devotees cooking and all of that. I suppose that's different, but this is something that we learn from Krishna going to the neighbors, that we don't want him to go to the neighbors. His mother doesn't want him to go to the neighbors because she's got the best cows and the best milk. This is how she got the milk. 900,000 cows, right? They're all producing milk. That milk that she gets from the cows, she gives to 1,000 of the best cows. The milk from those 1,000 best cows, she gives to 100 best cows. Out of that 1,000 now, 100 are best, she gives it to that. And out of that 100, then there's 10 that she feeds the best milk to. Then out of the 10, there is one cow, and that is the best milk that you can get, because all coming from we said 900,000 to 1,000 to 100 to 10 and then to 1. So how much better can you get? That is the best. So that's why she's saying that there's no need for Krishna to go and steal at the neighbors, but yet he does that. So we too, there's no need to go to the neighbors. We have the best at home and we should eat at home. So that's the end of the. Yes, we're on time now. Any questions? Someone likes to add something or make a comment? I might have missed out something. Please share your views. Jay Prabhu, you like to add something to the pastime? No, that is a different thing. Then you're going for that specific purpose. But you're not going to steal. He's talking about stealing. Krishna goes to the neighbors to steal. They wanted, yes, yeah, yes. So you think we should, so what advice do you give us? Yes, well, in the beginning it is said that the gopis complain like in a jovial manner. They don't mean what they're saying because they're actually praying that we want to make the best butter and the best yogurt so that Krishna will come and steal. So it must be the sweetest, so he'll keep coming. But then they complain to Mother Yashoda, your boy is naughty, like that. So that's Krishna is actually fulfilling their desire. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else would like to comment something that you got out of the story? Maithili Mataji? Something you remember from our class days? Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that, Mataji. Yes, he has the power to control the bells also, and yet he's fearful of the stick. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Nothing else, then that's Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.